Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey.
We're back with another episode.
Yes. What's going on? If you guys don't know by now, my name is Shani.
And I'm Jackie.
And you are listening and watching
The Mocha
Message.
Ay.
So, y'all, continuing with our theme for season 5, we want to start all of our intros off by highlighting local Black businesses in the Atlanta area. Atlanta is a hub for Black excellence, Black success. I mean, we got the Black Hollywood here. So we really want to get you guys involved in some of the restaurants, some of the candle making spots, some of the thrift stores, whatever it may be, that are Black owned, local, and Mocha Maven tried, true, and tested.
Yes. So one of my favorite things to look for in Atlanta is Black-owned coffee shops.
Yes.
But I had the pleasure of stumbling upon a Black woman-owned coffee shop by way of, a event series that I work with called Poetic Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Come out, support. We can get to that another time.
Yes.
But this coffee shop is called Black Coffee Co.
Mm-hmm.
It is on Jonesboro Road. And it's in the Lakewood Heights area of town. This place is just phenomenal. One of my favorite things is the coffees are named after prominent Atlanta musicians.
Yes.
And ironically enough, my favorite drink is called the Andre.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a drink. I love drinks with lavender in it. And obviously it's named after 3 Stacks, Andre 3000.
Yeah.
It's really cool in there. Everyone's really nice. Another great place to take your laptop, take your books to read, kind of just vibe out. They host events regularly, from, open mic nights. They're really big on Black enterprise, and making sure that everyone has education to be able to build and grow their businesses. So when you walk in, you'll see Black liberation on the wall. You'll see Black enterprise. You'll just see different phrases that are empowering to us in the Black community. It's so dope.
Shout out to Black Coffee Co. Y'all make sure y'all follow, support, take your laptop, take a couple friends.
Oh, yeah.
Get an Andre. I got to try that. I've never had any lavender.
Oh, lavender
drinks.
is life-changing.
I got to try it.
In a drink, it just instantly calms you down.
Okay, y'all, let's get straight into this because I'm actually really excited
to
talk about this topic.
This is a good one.
So we all know the diaspora is large. It's worldwide.
She said, let's start there.
Let's just start right there. And we all have different opinions on certain subjects. These, the difference of opinions can be good. They can also be a little bit challenging at times. And what I always think is wild is how
Look at her picking up,
Jackie's word. What I think is wild is how you can go down social media and just scroll and you are exposed to so many different opinions, so many different views on how things work. You just are exposed to so much and you really realize especially if you don't really have a community that is really varied in, culture, race, gender identity or anything like that, you can really just see dang, I'm so small in the sense of there's 30 different ways to look at a situation. I look at it one way, 30 different people are going to look at it a whole different way.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be so fun to just kind of talk about gatekeeping.
Yes.
Because that's also a buzzword that pops up in social media a lot when it comes to especially the Black diaspora.
Us.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, so you may wonder what exactly is gatekeeping? And gatekeeping has a lot to do with just limiting access, especially when it comes to a community of people, a particular culture, or any particular group, right? And like Shani said, this is a big conversation in our diaspora.
Yeah.
Because different people feel different about if people should have access to our culture, what parts they should have access to our culture, and then what happens when you're so welcoming and you let people in and then it gets out of control. Like people just run rampant.
For sure. Some examples that I can just think of off the top of my head is like the braids and locks conversation. Ooh. Should white people have box braids? Should white people get locks? You know what well, whatever they would call. I still don't think that like your hair has to be a certain texture to me to be able to actually lock, you know, on its own. But yeah, like that's an example. If you guys remember Dan Rue,
oh gosh,
he went super viral for getting the cookout invite and dancing to all these Black songs and being in these Black spaces. And
I really thought this man was light skinned. Like,
yeah,
I didn't know.
White fishing,
fell for the
Black fishing or whatever you call it.
Yeah. I think another example, a big one is just the language and the slang. Like, there's a lot of times we get chastised for using what's called African American vernacular English, which, you know, is slang. It's our own way of having conversation, dialect, all of that. But then, you know, you see these, you know how you scroll on Facebook and you see ads for like a t-shirt or something, and it's like Lily is in a t-shirt that says like I'm salty, and it's like do you even know what that means? Like, and now it's getting mass produced. It just it gets out of control, especially if we get demonized for using a certain language, and then other people go on to use it and now they're profiting off of it, or making it acceptable. What is that?
So I want to pose a question. If you take your, you know, experiences, your upbringing, all of that into consideration, like, what do you just in general think about gatekeeping? Like,
all right. So I think that context is important, right? Because there's gatekeeping in the cultural way that we're talking about, but then you also have gatekeeping from like people in higher positions of power, like trying to keep marginalized or like disenfranchised people, or, you know, people who are historically underrepresented out of spaces where I feel like that does real harm. Like that does real damage. Like, open the gates for people to be able to get a job, open the gates for people to be able to go to school. But I think within the context of our culture, Black culture, there are things that just need to be protected. Like, I feel like some things are just sacred, from the food that we eat, from the way that we do our hair. Like, it's not just some cute style or whatever. Like, these are ways that we, you know, preserve our hair. These are ways that we care for it. You know, it's not just some cute, trendy thing that we're trying to keep away from people. There's only but so much that we have, like, that we have as Black people. There's only but so much that we have as a culture. And I think it's perfectly okay to keep the gate closed and to keep something sacred. People may say things like language or, you know, AAVE is like silly, like it's minimal, but it's not. Like I said earlier, when we've been chastised for these things or like demonized for these things, it's not just some silly, like that's some of the only methods that we have to communicate, and things like that. I mean, you know, even I could go on about it forever, but I think in some ways, like we got to keep the gate closed. Okay. We losing recipes.
Literally.
We are losing recipes every day. What about you? What are your thoughts?
I completely agree with you. And I mean, we've never been the podcast that like both of us have to have one stance versus the other. But I completely agree with you. Like, as far as, and I'm just speaking specifically about gatekeeping our culture, like Black culture.
Yeah.
I don't like these trends where let me quiz my white friend on, you know, what does your mom say whenever you go in and out the house? You know, like I don't think that they need to be aware of everything that we have, because I do think that what we have is very sacred. And as an African American, we were stripped of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so now creating our own over the past couple hundred years, it's like, I want to hold on to that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people outside of the culture to just be able to communicate the way we can across a room. Like, that's special to me.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And similar to how you were saying that, like, there's so many things that we get degraded for, but then if it's put in a white space, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that, bro. Like, I'm not okay with box braids being seen as unprofessional until it's a trend. And now that, you know, Sarah has some, it's okay. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with seeing... It's very specific, I guess, to be.
No, go for it.
But y'all know I am a Jackson State Tiger. I rep Jackson State for life. Like, that is my school.
I'm surprised you don't have a tattoo.
Yeah, you know.
Or do you?
No, I know. But to see a lot of things that were looked down upon when people look at Jackson State to now, there's this whole thing about Colorado.
Oh, gosh.
It's like the same stuff and the same kids that were playing here in a black space, a majority black space, were never good enough for the Heisman Trophy. They were never good enough for X, Y, and Z. But literally all you did was take that same black talent, remove it from a predominantly black area and put it in a predominantly white area, and all of a sudden it's great. All of a sudden he's getting all these,
action.
Like, it's crazy to me. And I think a lot of that has to do with, like, gatekeeping. I think that I think that gatekeeping has a lot to do with some people prioritizing the approval of Caucasians. Yeah. And not really just being comfortable in themselves. Like, if it's not signed off by a white person, is not okay.
Woo,
you know what I mean? Like, that's harmful. That's so harmful.
Yeah. I think the conversation is interesting because, like I stated before, there are things that are at an institutional level, right? That Black people have had to fight, claw, scratch for, like, literally in the streets protesting for our lives.
Lobbying, laws, marching, being physically and mentally torn down. Like,
and that's just for basic human rights. So it's very frustrating when, you know, you have something that's cultural that it just seems like people can just like fling the gate open.
Y'all come on in.
Everybody, come on in. It just...
No, it's very frustrating. And I think it is so much worse with social media because it's so easy for anybody to read a tweet or watch a video or, and just take it. And there's no real... It's like the Wild Wild West. Like, there's no real law and, like, anything with social media. You can take somebody's video and what they gonna do about it? Tell you to take it down? Okay. Right. Like, same thing with integral parts of, like, the culture. Mm-hmm. So when, the girlies was on TikTok talking about slugging, and in reality, it was just when grandma would put Vaseline on your face before the bus stop. Who was there to say, like, hey, guys, take that down because that's not something that you guys invented. That was something that was taken from...
Done forever. Like,
it's just law. Like, it's the Wild Wild West, bro. So it's just so much worse. And it brings up the question to me, who really should take responsibility when, like, these aspects of our culture are taken?
But yeah, it's challenging because, on one aspect, it's like, within our community, we want to tell other members in our community,
Yeah.
like, to not just be letting anybody. One thing that I cannot stand is invited to the cookout.
Can we
Invited
please
to the
just did
cookout.
that?
I'm like, that's leave it in 2014 or wherever it came from. Like, we're not doing that anymore because we see exactly what happens. Like, but I had to think about it. So, you know, we both kind of watch like similar TV shows and stuff like that. There's a TV show, I feel like it's America's favorite show, like Black, White, Otherwise.
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary.
Yes.
And of course we know the main character played by Quinta Brunson. I want to say it's in the premiere episode. She has like different like Philly terminology like on the board for her students to guess for. I don't know if it's spelling class or vocab class, whatever it is, but you know, it's funny. And I sat with it for a second. I'm like, on one hand, I can't stand this because now it's opening up the word John to everybody. It's now in the dictionary. I'm like, okay. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, when I watch a movie from a particular culture, you know, whether it's an Italian American movie or, you know, whether it's a movie centered in an Asian country or whatever, I don't walk away referencing like their slang or the terminology or the words or whatever that they use.
And claiming it as your own.
Right, and claiming it as my own. So then I'm like, well, I mean, Quinta's really showing a real depiction of what, you know, a Philly classroom teacher, you know, how they would talk and interact with the students, with the coworkers, you know, friends and stuff like that. And I was like, it's really cool because she gets to showcase like her culture, her.
Exactly.
And I'm like, is it really like, should I be upset with her, or should I be upset with the people who are snatching the words or whatever and taking off and running with it and not caring like where it derived from or what it even fully means?
Exactly.
You know, the social media aspect that you brought up is so interesting because I remember, you know, being in high school, sitting at the lunch table, joking, talking with friends, and people would be literally watching, studying. What does that mean? And I'm like, but that was just one person, you know, at my school versus the millions of people who are scrolling and taking like all day long.
Yes. Nah, that's a great point. And it makes me think, when you mentioned that, you know, people that you can watch a movie from a different culture and not necessarily take it, it makes me think about how when it comes to our culture, okay, we're talking about gatekeeping, right? A gate, you can still see over it sometimes. You maybe can still see through it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not that we shouldn't be who we are. We shouldn't put our local slang into our films and stuff like that because that's unfair to us, right? But just because somebody is looking at it, where the issue lies to me is, all right, you're looking at it, you're studying it, you're asking questions, not for understanding, but you're asking questions to essentially take it and run with it and claim it as your own. Similar to how you said, I think about how a lot of young Black boys, they love like the karate culture, the anime culture, like Japanese and Asian culture. Now little Black boys can go to school and act like they Bruce Lee and fight, you know, and do karate moves and whatever, but like, they're not going around acting like, hey guys, I got the newest fighting moves. I just came up. You know what I mean?
This is from
they
like,
give credit. We give credit a lot of times, and it just sucks that like when people take our things, it's never on a like admiration wave to me. It's always on a, hey, that's cool that you came up with. I'm going to bring it back to people who don't know about it and pretend as if I did it.
Yeah.
That's what I have a problem with. Like, you're not asking for understanding or to even like fit in, essentially. You just want to take it.
Yeah.
And historically, we have had everything taken from us.
Yeah.
And I'm just sick of it. Like, I'm sick of us also leaving the door open for more things to be taken.
It's a shame because, like, I feel like Black folks are just generous as people. Yeah. Like, very giving. And it's sad because, like you said, where does the responsibility fall? Like, where is that line drawn? Because it's fine if somebody comes into a restaurant, enjoys a meal, leaves a great review, right? And they go on, they tell other people, hey, use your dollars here.
Right.
It's completely different to sit down. You're literally taking notes on the lighting.
How'd you make them collard greens?
Right.
Oh, you put in turkey necks.
And then you set up shop.
Now you got a food truck over in Atlanta.
It was actually in Atlanta.
That was in Atlanta. Another show y'all should watch. It gives great social commentary on this. A lot of episodes, but yeah, bro, like that's where the issue lies to me, and that's where the responsibility leaves us. Now, there's some responsibility on us for being so open and giving out invisible invites to cookouts and stuff like that. But again, it gets to the point to where it's like we should be able to enjoy our culture and with each other without like feeling bad that somebody came in and like took it. Yeah. If they forced their way in.
I mean, really, when it comes down to it, like, we reinvent everything. So it's like, all right, y'all
can have that, bro. Don't worry about it.
Cool. We just come up with something different. And that's just a secret sauce. And
you can't steal that, which is great. Like, you can never steal the
innovation,
the uniqueness, the swag that we have. Like, we truly, honestly, bro, Black people are just so cool in general. Like, we are just for a culture that, again, has been constantly had things taken from them. They've been beaten up emotionally, physically. They've been suppressed in political situations, and for us to go through all that and we still continue to thrive. And when somebody, like you said, somebody tries to do something, we just kind of brush it off and keep pushing. Yeah. It's amazing. It's truly what they mean when they say like Black girl magic or Black boy magic. You know what I mean? Like, it truly is a form of magic to be able to be as resilient as we are.
Yeah, I think that about brings us to our Mocha message, which is, when it comes down to it, part of having pride in something is just honoring its history. Yeah. And, keeping it close to you, keeping it close to the chest, like keeping it close to the heart. So I think just practicing that more when it comes to Black culture as a whole, just keeping that in context. Yeah. Like,
yeah, I would add on to that. Just know that like being adjacent to whiteness is not a standard. It's not a goal. It's not something to look forward to. And just have pride in yourself, have pride in your family, your culture, your neighborhoods, your ancestors, because that is more than enough to like succeed in anything you want to do. Don't ever like set your standards to what somebody who has never had any sort of like, they've never had any of the same experiences that you've had or any of the same obstacles that you've had. Don't ever feel like you have to measure up to that, because this is systematic, okay? Like, systemic, that's the word. This is systemic. Like, there's so many other factors that go into why the majority in the world, in society, is the majority. So, just don't set yourself up to like make something else the standard. We are the standard. We always been the standard. We always gonna be the standard. Always will be. So, with that, we can talk about this for a long time, y'all. We will leave you guys with that. We'll love to have some more conversation with you over on Instagram. Make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell on YouTube so that way you can get notified every time we drop an episode. And with that, we will see you guys next episode.
All right. Till next time.
Bye.